Hi guys, hope you're doing well. It's been a two full days without me coming live. Yeah, but I'll have two videos for you. I did a video on the Toyota Progress. Some people were asking about the Toyota Progress, and surprisingly, the owner of the Toyota Progress has had it for the past 10 years. He bought it from the born in 2012. And I'm going to also upload a video of the Toyota Noah, the 1999 model. Also, the owner has driven it for the past like 8 years, 6 to 8 years, and yeah. So these are cars that owners have experienced for a very long time, so they'll be able to tell us for them what experience they have with their cars and whether they actually recommend for anyone else to buy the same cars. So far they're positive. You will see the videos yourself. Then I'll also top up with a personal opinion about these cars. Yeah, one of them is the Noah owner actually is selling his Noah. Yeah, so the people that wanted to buy a Noah, you have a chance to buy a Noah from the real owner, who has actually driven it for 8 years, maintained it himself for the past 8 years. So you have a chance to go and interact with him, get someone you trust to check it for you, and yeah, if you like it and if the person that checks for you says it checks out, you can actually pay for the car and drive away. He's planning to upgrade to the Toyota Alphard. Yeah. The past 2 days I've been in the field, my day job. Yeah, so I've been in the field, I've been driving around. I've driven about 400 kilometers in the past 2 days. On the first day I drove about 250 kilometers. Drove to Lugazi, came back to Mukono, then I went to Kalaji, then I went to Kayunga, then I went to Nazigo, then came back to Mukono, Seta, and then I came back to town. Then today I've gone all the way up to Kachiri and then kept going inside there. Yeah, doing my marketing work. I'm a marketing professional. Yeah, so from time to time I have to go to the field. And I drive my Corolla and it never disappoints. Of course, there's something I had ignored. I had to change the master cylinder of the braking system, the one where you put the brake fluid, and I decided to go the cheaper way. I wanted to see what it does, so I went to these guys that actually fix the master cylinders, so that when your master cylinder stops working, like it does not bring you can take it to them and they remove the inside parts and they put new things. So what I did was that I did that against the recommendations of everyone, but I wanted to see and I ended up driving the cylinder again for about 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks, I think 2 weeks, and then it did the same thing. So today I sent my mechanic to go and bring me the another cylinder. I didn't put the brand new one. I put what they call Japan used. Now Japan used spare parts, if you didn't know, these are spare parts. You go to a Kiseka market shop and you know they bring things like engine parts, and yeah, so they bring this cylinder with the servo. If you don't know the servo, when you open the hood, that round thing that is on the body of the engine in the engine bay, on the side of the driver, that's what we call the servo, where the cylinder actually goes. So they got that cylinder from the servo, straight from the servo, and then he brought and put it, and the car has been restored to new braking capabilities. So I think that's the only thing the only challenge I've got, but it was my own making. If I had put another cylinder the very first day, I would not get braking problems. Yeah, so I actually had seen that the brake fluid were kind of black. If you saw my the broadcast where I was at a Shell service station doing service, there's a part where I went to the cylinder and I said, okay, it's black, blah blah blah, and yeah. So when brake fluid in your car turns black, it means that your cylinder is probably dead, and you should replace it. And very soon, the brakes are going to stop like it did. So today I was in jam, going downhill, and the brake wasn't working anymore. Yeah, and yeah, I knew right away what was the problem. So I've reviewed, and also yesterday I was driving from Mukono. Someone has been asking me to talk about the Pajero IO. That's the Pajero, the new Pajero, the tiny, the small one. And then I saw the Pajero IO on a car carrier. A mechanic had just bought it, what we call kusula, at wholesale. Yeah, it was still a new number plate, UAX. Of course, not very new, but considerably new, UAX. But it had been in the garage for about 6 months. The owner had given up on it until someone said, okay, mujinguze, let me take it. So the mechanic, because he's a mechanic, is going to find a way of fixing it, and then he will resell it to someone else. Yeah, so that's why I normally recommend that if you're going to buy a car, you buy it from someone you can trust, or someone that has been, you know. If you can trace the history of the car, it might help when it comes to fixing the car, because sometimes the mechanic will actually rob you of your clean money because he's telling you that your car has a problem that the car doesn't actually have. So I saw an IO on a car carrier. I think it's the only car I've seen the past 2 days being taken on a breakdown. That serves to show you, because I've not seen any other car being put on breakdown apart from that Pajero, the IO that you guys want, the GDI. Some people call it the GDI, some people call it the IO. Yeah, that's the only car that I've seen on breakdown the past few days. And my intuition tells me that if you see one car on a car carrier and it's the only car you see, and it looks like it has been parked, like for that one, I actually went and talked to the person that bought it. The mechanics had failed to fix it. It had some electrical thing that they failed to figure out, and the owner gave up. So like I said, electronics are at the biggest expense in a car. If they start breaking down, you'll hate yourself. So the owner of this IO failed to fix the electronics. Okay, the mechanics failed, and because they had taken a lot of money from the owner gave up and decided to find another car, which he did. So he sold this one very cheaply. I won't tell you the price. Yeah, but if you still want the same car, you're very free to go and buy it. If it gives you peace, you can buy and enjoy yourself until it actually breaks down. So for starters, I don't recommend that Pajero, guys. I don't. And one of my followers was asking me to talk about the Spacio new model and Spacio old model. Now, for starters, both these cars have a high resale value. Both these cars are expensive when you're buying. Both these cars are very reliable. Both these cars are good on fuel consumption. They don't consume a lot of fuel. Both these cars are 1.5cc. Okay? One is stronger than the other. The old model Spacio is stronger than the other. But the strength is relative. Now, what am I saying? The new model has a better engine than the old model. When I say better, is the performance, you get the same performance, yet you use less fuel. Because the new Spacio has a 1.5cc engine, which is VVTi. It uses less fuel. The car looks better. Okay, the car looks better. But the Spacio old model was also a hot cake when it was the only Spacio there. That's why it still has very high resale value, and if you were to buy it today, you'll actually still buy it expensively. So if you wanted to buy Spacio, you can buy either of them, but you need to know that no matter what, the new Spacio, the Spacio new model, consumes less fuel on any day. Okay, it will fetch more money when you're selling as well. So if I recommend, you can buy either, but the Spacio new model is highly recommended. If you were to compare, if you can afford the Spacio new model, I wouldn't recommend that you buy the old model. Okay. Also, the old model Spacio has been on the road for a longer time. The advantage you'd have with the Spacio old model is that the spare is everywhere. Okay, which doesn't happen with the new model, because the new model spare parts are expensive. So not every garage or spare parts shop can actually procure them and keep them. So you'll find that half of the time, if you're repairing a Spacio new model from places like Bulenga, you realize that the mechanic has to get a board, go to Chiseka market, fetch the spare part, and then come back, which is an expense on your side. But if you're driving a Spacio old model, the spare is everywhere. Everywhere the spare is there. So there's no time you're going to go to the garage and then the mechanic tells you that the spare is not available. So, but it depends on what you want. But of course, the Spacio new model, it never really breaks down. The spares never break down. I mean, how many times have you seen a Spacio on the road broken down? Me myself have not. I don't know if you have, but personally I haven't. Yeah, so you can buy either of them and enjoy the ride. Also, there's a follower of mine that asked me to talk about the Nyongeza. You remember the day I talked about the Toyota iJet, and then I also talked about the Toyota Town S, the pickups. Also, I found the Kayongeza iJet on the road, UBB. It has been on the road actually 2 days now. So don't buy a iJet, don't buy a Kayongeza, no matter what. Yeah, it looks portable, it looks like it can't do a lot of hard work. So don't buy the Kayongeza. Someone asked me to talk about the Probox again. Yeah, and I know I haven't done a dedicated video on the Toyota Probox, but the Toyota Probox has the same engine that is in the Toyota Corolla. The engine is similar to what is in the Alex. It's a 1.5, very reliable. The Toyota Probox works really hard. Why? In the back, it doesn't have shock absorbers, the normal shock absorbers. It has these springs, make it possible for you to load the car with as much weight as you can. That's why many traders drive the Probox. The guys that have wholesale shops, so retail shops, they have Probox and they go to Chikugo and they buy stuff and then bring it back to their shop. That's the biggest advantage that has it. Unlike the Succeed doesn't have the same spring system. It has the coils like my Corolla here. So if you're the kind of person that does business, you go to the farm and oil, but you don't have enough money to buy a pickup truck, and you don't want to buy a newer because the newer consumes higher than the Probox will do for you until you can actually raise the money to buy a Hilux. The Probox literally never breaks down. And even if the engine died, the engine is not expensive. You can get it at about 3 million or 3.5, and you just replace it. The tires, it takes size 14, which are very affordable to buy. The spares, like I said, in the back you'll never buy shock absorbers because it uses springs. Springs literally never really break down. Yes, they can lose their strength, like they literally, unless if you load it too much, which I don't know what is too much for the Probox because it was created to carry stuff. The only disadvantage of the Probox is that it's not as comfortable as most people want. You know, when we buy cars, we want to sit in our car, and then sometimes you want to hit a pothole and not feel it. With the coil, the spring system of the Probox in the back, you will feel most of the potholes, if not all of them, and you will feel them like you have just jumped and fallen in the pothole. So that's the only disadvantage I know with the Probox. The other disadvantage is that robbers or car thieves want that Probox. A neighbor of mine actually lost his Probox. They came and they pushed it, okay, and then they took it. Yes, George, I talked about the Toyota Rush. The Toyota Rush is a good car, okay. One thing I have to tell you guys, that all Toyotas are good cars, okay. Now, which happens sometimes. For example, many people would buy a Toyota Rush because it's an SUV of sorts. People buy the Toyota Rush wanting to substitute the RAV4 because the Toyota Rush consumes less fuel than a RAV4. I think it's a 1.5. So you imagine driving a RAV4 that has a 1.5cc engine. You get? So that's why people buy the Rush. They want to feel the comfort, the height of a Toyota RAV4, but consuming fuel that a Toyota Alex would actually consume. That's why people buy the Rush. But what they forget is that the Rush has unique spare parts. The Toyota Rush doesn't share spare parts with the RAV4 or with my Corolla. The Rush has its own unique spare parts, which if any car countrywide, if any car doesn't share spare parts with another car, chances are high that the spares are going to be expensive, because very few people will be bringing those spares. You know, traders in Uganda, they buy things that move. So if you have about 5,000 Toyota Rushes in Uganda, you're not going to find 10 people bringing Toyota Rush spare parts, okay? So you'll find one person that has a lot of money and he can bring a variety of cars, whether there are so many or not. And when that person brings it, he realizes that I'm the only one that has it, you can sell it expensively. So I think that's the one thing that happens with the Toyota Rush. Let me see. Is the audio clear, guys? I hope it's clear. There is a time one of my followers told me that the audio died at a certain period. I want you to be able to hear all the time. Yeah. Let me just change the stand. And yeah, I'm going to do a dedicated video, Johnny, where I'm talking about the editions and why they name them the way. That's going to be a special edition where I'm going to do that. Don't worry, it's coming up. I want it to be action packed. It will be a video of like 30 to 40 minutes that I'll do independently. It might not be a live, but I want to give you very well researched information, because I've seen cars which were, for example, like you've said, L, let's say Corolla L, and then someone, when they were respraying, they changed it and then they put a Corolla X. And for us to no longer make those mistakes, we have to change which car is better. Toyota Spacio, the new version. Yes, John, I've talked about that. These cars are relatively almost, they are the same. The difference is that the Toyota Spacio new model, the new model was created as an improvement of the old one. Things they improved is the engine, okay? Engine is still 1.5. Even the old one has a 1.5 engine. I'm sure you know that already. It has a 1.5cc engine, but the new model has a VVTi engine, which is better on the fuel. I think that's the biggest advantage of the Toyota Spacio new model. It will consume less fuel than the old model. So if you were contemplating and you can afford both, I would totally recommend that you buy the new version if you have the money. I don't think you should go and buy the old model. Why? People are moving away from the old model. It's very rare that someone buys an old model when they can afford a new model. Majority of the time when someone buys an old model of the Spacio, it's because they can't afford the new model. Yeah, I was saying that many times when I find people that buy the Spacio old model, the only reason they are buying the old model is because they can't afford the new model. So I think under normal circumstances, that's the only reason why you should buy the Spacio old model, because it's cheaper. But I've come to realize that the Spacio old model is actually not cheaper than the new model. If you were to save money, you would save about 1 million, and I don't find it to be worth it. If I'm buying a new model Spacio at about 15 million, and the old model is 12, I wouldn't buy the old model. And so I highly recommend that you buy the new model, even if it's more expensive than the old model by like $1 million. Why? Even if you were to resell, not to mean that you're buying for resale, but if you were to resell for some reason, or you want to upgrade, or you just want to get another car, the Spacio new model will sell faster than the old model. Let me just let my kids in. Yeah, let me pick my things.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
Yeah.
Did you make phone calls?
No. Today is very busy. Tomorrow I have to. Today I'm going to start a club.
So, someone else asked a question here. Let's see. 2 cars, pass your old model. I think, John, if I've not answered you, please tell me, and I'll answer it again. How's the Nissan Skyline? Tell me the merits and demerits. I'm going to do a review on that one, but of course, the biggest demerit is that it's going to be expensive for you to maintain, and the resale value is low. Those are the 2 things that you need to know before you actually decide to buy. Resale value is low, and repairing the Nissans is very expensive because the spares are rare, and also the mechanics that know how to repair these cars are not as many as the Toyotas. So but I'll do a review on that one, don't worry. John Mobiru, John, have I answered your question? Ractis. Okay, Mr. Yunus, you have asked about the Ractis. Okay, what do I think about the Ractis? I think the one thing that you need to know that there are cars that are overpriced, and the Ractis is one of them. Of course, it's 1.5. It's a sexy car. It's very. How are you? So the Ractis is very stable on the road. It's compact. You would rarely have a problem with the Ractis. It never breaks down. I've not seen a Ractis break down anywhere, and I've not seen a Ractis stranded in the garage. Okay. Probably it would have to do with the fact that most of the people that drive Ractis actually do town service. They don't use it to travel up country as much, although it can actually go up country. That's one thing you need to know. And all these cars that are on the Uganda roads can do up country trips. You can even drive a Paso to Mbare and come back. You can drive a Paso to Gulu and come back. Especially if you give your car good service, you can drive it anywhere and come and bring it back. Okay, if it's in good condition. The Ractis 1.5cc. One thing you need to know is that this car really never breaks down, according from experience, and it's not very expensive to maintain. The spares are very available, but also the fact that it never breaks down. The shops always have the spares, so you'll not walk into a shop at Chiseka Market and want to buy a spare and it's not there. So it will always be there. It has a very strong body. It has a VVTi engine. It means that it's very it's very good on the fuel. Okay. Nissan Skyline, don't worry, I'm going to talk about it. I think I'll talk about it when I'm talking about all the saloon editions of the Nissan that are on the road these days. Let me see who is driving that Nissan. You see, yesterday I happened to come face to face with the person that drives the Progress, and I'm going to upload that video very soon. I'll add my personal opinion, but he said he had no problem with the car, and there are so many people like that bought the car and they have not had to spend a lot of money repairing because the cars were new. So Nissan Skyline, I just want you to know one thing in case you get a good deal before I actually do this video on the Skyline. One thing you need to know: resale value is very low, and it will be expensive for you to maintain. One, there are very few mechanics that actually are specialists at Nissan, and those that are good at it will be expensive. Two, the spare is expensive because it's not a Toyota. Toyota spare is readily available. This is not. So Johnny, I'll do the LXG, the editions of cars. I'll do that sometime. Don't worry, it's going to be very well researched. The Rush, what's that? The Rush, the Toyota Rush. It's you know how you want to drive the American horse motorbike, but then you can only afford you can afford a Bajaj Boxer in, let's say, maintenance. Okay, you think you can afford only the Bajaj Boxer in maintenance and fuel. So that's normally what happens with the Toyota Rush. That's why majority of the times it's women that drive it. Main road. I wanted to give this phone to lawyer for repair. Yeah. So yeah, I'm crossing a road and there is a Lana right there. So today I'm going to be driving on a very tough road full of potholes, and yeah, I'm going to pass via Chitezi, full of potholes. And just know, if a bush of a Toyota is about 60,000, if you're going to be driving a Nissan Skyline, it will be 100 or 120,000. So it's important that you know before you buy a car that is not a Toyota that, okay, to make it clear, Toyotas were made for ordinary people, you and me. If you're ordinary, I imagine Toyotas were made for ordinary people like me. That's why globally, okay, let me say generally, these common Nissan type, common Japanese types were made for common people. But in Uganda, Toyotas are for the ordinary people like me. Why? The spares are readily available because someone can actually just go to Japan and buy a salvage Toyota very cheaply and bring it and get spare out of it and sell to us. That's why they are very cheap to maintain. Now these other cars are luxury. That's why you don't find a Nissan Saloon that is as beautiful as our Corollas are. You see, cars like the Toyota, the Nissan March, majority of the time a person buys it and he or she will drive it for about 6 months and it will be off the road. Why? Because either the mechanic failed to fix it, or the spares are not readily available, or those that are available, the car just says, no, I don't want this spare part, and they try it a number of times until the owner says, no, let me just park the car. So that happens with a lot of Nissans. Okay, actually, if I were given a choice to own a Nissan and a Mercedes-Benz, I would own a Mercedes-Benz, because with Mercedes-Benz it's very clear that if a Mercedes-Benz wants a certain spare part, you're going to buy it and you'll put it and the car will start moving right away. With Nissan, I have a friend that has like a small Nissan. I think it's in a Nissan Mika. I'm going to go and do a review of that Mika over, let me see, should I do it on Friday? I'm going to go and do a review of that Mika. He actually knows, because he has been driving a Nissan for some time, and he had, at the time he had a Nissan that disturbed him a lot. So in a way he learned how to fix Nissans himself. Now you see, when you buy a bad car, you start to learn how to fix things yourself. So he learned how to fix this Nissan himself. So some of the things he does himself, I'm going to go and we have a chat with him one of these days, and yeah, I'm sure you will have a good time for the guys that actually want to buy Nissans. But I want to tell you one thing: only buy a Nissan if you really believe that whatever comes, you're ready for it. For example, if you go to buy a driving shaft for your Nissan and they tell you it's a 350,000, my driving shaft is 80,000, okay, for my Corolla. But you will find that for the Nissan March, you buy it at 130 or 150. Yet it's a smaller car. It does less work than what my car does. So I'm going to pass this side for once.
Yeah.
It's a long time since we did the black spread. So Nissan, just know, if you're Ugandan, normal Ugandan like me, any car that is not Toyota, you buy it for luxury. That's what I've made myself believe. I've driven a Golf, I've driven a Benz, I've not driven a Subaru, but I've seen someone who bought a new Subaru and they sold it because for a new version. So it's important that you understand that any car that is not Toyota is luxury, okay? I want us to know that. Yeah, for the guys that didn't know, that is the Town S that I was talking about. It's also parked there. That's the Town S, okay? Yeah, that's a Crown. Now the Nissan Skyline gives you the luxury that the Toyota Crown would give you, okay? If you don't know the Toyota Crown, there is a Mark II, there is a Chaser, and the Mark II and Chaser are kind of the same. Then there is a Mark X, okay? Mark X is also luxurious. However, a Volvo has just entered the road, as you can see, and when cars like that come, you let them pass. That's the XC60. Yeah, those are also luxurious cars. So I was saying that there is two, there's a Chaser. These cars are literally the same cars. They just change a few concepts on design. They change probably the seat colors, the dashboard, but the engine is the same and the body is literally the same. But then there comes Mark X, which seems to be more luxurious than the Mark II. But you see, if the Mark X is luxurious, then the Crown, Toyota Crown, is luxurious. Now the Toyota Crown is 2.5cc or 2.7 depending on which version you happen to buy. It's too luxurious, it's too comfortable. That's the Toyota Crown. If you wanted to buy a Nissan Skyline, I would recommend that you buy a Toyota Crown. Okay, why? The Toyota Crown is like the Mark II, literally never breaks down. Okay, but when it breaks down, the spares are they are very available. You'll find that it shares spares with the Toyota Mark II, which makes it very cheap to maintain. Okay, but it never breaks down. Like I said, most Toyotas that are 2000cc and above don't really break down. Okay, and the Toyota Crown, you will find that it gives you more luxury than what the Skyline does. What the Skyline will give you is probably you're not driving a Toyota. But anyone that wants to drive a car and not be driving a Toyota, buy a Mercedes-Benz. Okay, don't go to Nissan, don't go to Isuzu, don't go to Kia, unless if you have a lot of money. In maintenance, I would tell you that a Mercedes-Benz is cheaper to maintain than a Nissan. Very soon I'm going to tell you a reason why. I'm actually going to get a time and I chat with a Benz mechanic, a Mercedes-Benz mechanic, and I'll tell you why a Mercedes-Benz is cheaper to fix or to maintain than a Nissan Skyline. So if you want to drive luxury, because the Skyline actually looks like luxury, I would not buy the Skyline. I'd actually go and buy a Mercedes-Benz. Yeah. So the car, which car do I recommend? A small car that I recommend for off-roading. I've told you before. I drove a Vitz 1.3, what they call the RS. You know, the Vitz has a normal Vitz, and then there is the Vitz RS. That's a 1.3 or 1.5cc. That I highly recommend for off-roading. It's a very strong car. I drove it, of course. I assume you're not going to be going very fast when you're off the road. Because for the time that I drove the Vitz, when you're going at high speeds in windy environments, it will go off the road if you're not careful or if you're not steady. The wind can actually take it different places. I don't know if I said that right in English. Yeah, the wind is very strong for the Toyota Vitz when you're going at high speeds. But off-roading, make sure it's Vitz that has a very good engine. 1.3. I drove a 1.3, but if you get a 1.5cc version, it's actually better because it's a bigger engine for a smaller body. Okay, so it will have more power and it will not consume more fuel than 1.3. That's from my experience. Someone else will tell you something else, but from my experience, a 1.5cc version and a 1.3cc version are almost the same. Yeah, I just went past Toyota Prius. Yeah. So the person that was asking me about the Spacio, let me rush. This is the Spacio new model that you are talking about. Yeah, that's a very that car never breaks down. It never breaks down. Okay. In terms of fuel, it depends on how you maintain your car. You will have to maintain it, do service when you need to do service. Okay, change the plugs when you need to change the plugs, change the air filter when you need to change the air filter. Put the right tire size. Don't overload it. You need to know that when you overload a car, let's say you're driving to work and in the boot there are jerry cans of water, you have put matoke there, the car is going to definitely not consume normally. It will consume a little more fuel. Why? Because it's loaded, it's not moving. You know, when they are testing these cars for fuel efficiency, when Toyota tells you that the spacio is a liter is supposed to take you for 18 kilometers, the car was empty. It only had the spare tire and the jack and the wheel spanner. It didn't have anything else. It had one driver, okay, and those things. So it had no load. So you can't expect to load a spacio with jerry cans of water and expect it to give you 18 kilometers on a liter. Okay, it will not do it. So you need to understand that the load that you put in a car also influences how a car consumes fuel. And contrary to what you guys think that a tire size does not, but if a car was meant to have 14-inch tires and you put 16-inch tires, it will consume more fuel. And then you'll be there thinking a motor car full when the car is actually doing what it's supposed to do. 16-inch tires are not only heavier, but the circumference is bigger. It means that the wheel has to roll more times. Okumara circumference here 16-inch tire. It was not designed to roll for a 16-inch tire. It was designed to roll for a 14-inch tire. Okay, so you have to put the right tire size on your car for you to get optimum fuel efficiency. Yeah, I have an ML 4MATIC in front of me. Yeah, for the guys that love luxury. Instead of buying a VW Touareg, I would buy this thing. Why? Because the Mercedes-Benz mechanics that have mastered Mercedes-Benz have actually mastered it. Okay, but the Volkswagens, most of the mechanics that I know are not really experts. Okay, and there is no dealership in Uganda. So if you bought a 4MATIC like that, if all the mechanics countrywide fail, you'll go to Spear Motors and get your issue fixed. So you see, that's why if I want to go luxury, I will always go the Mercedes-Benz luxury way. So bakery, this guys, there is another bakery here, but that's not the one. The other one is there. It's not there. Tell you. So off-roading, you can get, I was still answering you, brick, Toyota Vitz you can buy, it's good for off-roading. You can buy the IST as well. The IST is also good for off-roading. The Alex, Alex is good, it's a beast. It's a beast in the small body. You can buy the Alex. I don't recommend any Volkswagen. Yes, the engines sound like they are beasts, but I don't recommend them. I always recommend these Toyota ones, because if your Toyota IST broke down in Mbarara, you'd actually get it fixed and you'd get good parts. If your Toyota Vitz broke down in Mbarara, you'll get the right spare parts. If you want to go up country and enjoy, I would recommend you take a compact car. Okay, one where you're not going to get trouble when you want to look behind to see whether you have bypassed a big stone. And those are the cars that I've talked about. And also these cars, they are, you see, down there are steel bars that go from one joint to another. The smaller the car is, the smaller the iron bar is. Okay, now smaller iron bars are harder to break. Okay, I was talking to the person that when I was reviewing the Noah, and I was talking to the owner of the Noah, and he said that it has an iron bar that breaks down when you're driving in the bad roads. and that iron bar, I think it's about 100,000, between 80 and 100,000, depending on where you buy it. But these small cars have small iron bars, and we all know that the smaller the iron bar, the harder it is to break. So that's why these cars literally never break down, the Ractis, the IST, the Vits you get. So it will take, even if it were intending to break down, it will probably get a minor scratch, and you'll take it back to the mechanic, and they hit it a little and you put it back to the car. So if you're going off-roading, I would recommend that you take those small compact cars. You literally have nothing to repair when you come back. Make sure you give it tires, new tires though. I'm soon doing a review on this car here. That's Chikumi there. Now that's the old version of my Corolla. That was the first Corolla, I think, in Uganda. And that car never breaks down. It doesn't break down. You can fix the engine about 100 times and the car will be on the road. That's one of the cars. That one and the Corona Chirina, those cars never break down. I don't know why. They were made to last. You know, I think Japanese car manufacturers are these days making cars so that we can actually drive for 2 to 3 years and buy their new models, because these cars they make are actually weaker than the older cars. Like you see the new Toyota Primos, their bodies are weaker than the older versions. The new Toyota Fielders, their bodies are weaker than the older Toyota Fielders. Yeah, so I think they're literally making these cars for us to continue buying the newer models. I was talking about the Kayongeza. That car there is the Kayongeza, the one that I was reviewing the last time that I was, yeah. And someone has asked, is the Toyota, is Mercedes-Benz good for off-roading? Trust me, Mercedes-Benz is a normal car. Now, the only disadvantage of the Mercedes-Benz is spares are expensive. Okay? Spares are expensive. Now, the day I'm going to do a review, an interview on the Mercedes-Benz mechanic, he'll also tell us which Mercedes-Benzes you need to buy or what you don't need to buy. Why I'm interviewing this particular person is because he's a long-time friend of mine. I've known him since I was like 14. Yeah, that's more than 15 years. And he has been fixing Mercedes-Benz for since he was like 15. Because when we left O-level, he didn't go forward. He just went into the workshop because his dad was a Mercedes-Benz mechanic. So he literally inherited his dad's Mercedes-Benz workshop. So he will be very honest with me. Okay, he will be honest with you as well, and he will tell us which marks to buy, which marks not to buy, which marks are hard to maintain, which marks are good for off-roading. Yeah, he has clients all over the country, clients that are in Hoima, clients that are in Bali, clients in Gulu. You know, like I told you, Mercedes-Benz, if you're going to buy it and you live up country, you better have money to either get the mechanic there or bring it for repair to Kampala. That's the disadvantage, and also the spare parts are expensive. But I'm sure you've seen that Mercedes-Benz, once it's on the road, it's on the road. It's very rare that you will find a Mercedes-Benz broken down on the road. But many times I find Volkswagens broken down on the road. Many times I find Nissans broken down on the road. I find Mitsubishi broken down on the road. And you don't go to a garage and you find new Mercedes-Benzes parked there. But you'll find new Pajeros parked there. You'll find new Fords parked there because of one reason or another. So yes, and I'll tell you that there is no car that is not good for off-roading. No car is not good for off-roading. You can literally drive any car off the road. You can go to the hills, but provided that you have done your research and it's not good, because there is a car that will go up the hill and not come back down. Okay, there is a car that will not go up, like for example that Toyota, that Mark II in front of me, that one, the Grand, it will go up the hill but it will not come back. No, it won't go up the hill. No, it won't go up it will come back, but it won't go up the hill. Why? It's rear wheel drive, and rear wheel drive cars have problem with going up hills. Okay, you see, I told you this car literally never breaks down. So someone pimped their Chikumi. Okay, that's the Corolla. That's the old version of my car. That's the old version of my Corolla. Let me just have a chat with him to see if we can talk to him. So guys, this is a pimped version of the Toyota Corolla. You see, he added extra. Okay, these are metals actually. Yeah, he modified the bumper. Yeah, he has modified this, and he also modified the interior. You see, he has made it really nice. And like I said, this car literally never breaks down. He modified also the back bumper, so when you look at it, yeah, if you had resprayed it, you would actually think it's there's one that I saw redone and you'd think it's a Subaru. Yeah, but it's a Toyota Corolla. Yeah, I'll give. So wamama mzee yeye bali kutasi imotoka eno kikumbi ye version area adesekyo kikumi zino lwaki ziwangala nnyo. What is it?
Ziwangala emmotoka gyosigalanga ogivuga ekisooka ekoma standard price yaayo
Status cent
zogitaddemu zonna ozijjamu nga bwaziteekamu era obudde bwazo bwozagaliramu. Ekyokulala nti ngumu bagikola ebintu byayo mu ntambula yaayo ate neetisi kubanga yo nga 10 sogitika mu oba ng'otisse bulungi kilogulaamu zinga 5 oba 6
half a ton
nezitwala bulungi nnyo
nga tetekaabye
tetta shooko zaayo ate ziri mu kesaazo ze baakola shooko ziri ziri week n'obukono bwaziyasinjangulira ku mukono bwayo so eyo mbeera emu ali ku 10.
So you guys, this gentleman is actually a mechanic. That's his garage in the background. Bajita wata garage. So his garage is you see the Chisasi road that comes from Kumbuzi. Yeah, so that's their place. Yeah, I'm not recommending them though. I'm just telling you that he was able to modify that because he's a mechanic. He has a lot of time to actually modify. Yeah, so erimu 1.5cc.
Yeah.
Ne zino gadi ze wateekako teziyongera okunywa.
Tezina kiziyongerako kunywa.
Nga kiwuma.
Teyina kiziyongerako kunywa era sigaza ennyaya y'amafuta yeyo.
Lita etambula kilomita mmeka?
Lita tugiwa by 10 liter. 10 liter tumanya nti tusobola ogikozesa by kilometer ngeze like nga 4. Kubanga by mbalala tuliya enyo emitwalo 18.
Benyadde bulungi.
Emitwalo 18. Mbale enyo emitwalo 23. Mbale nga tuweri wansi kukuba erigenda ng'oyisira ozisa Solonko. District ng'okutte kukuba erigenda Kapitola. Ng'otambuleko kilomita nga 5. Tugiwa emitwalo 23. By ne yesterday gye yabadde. Babadde buyaga n'enyo emitwalo 20. Twali 23.
Emusigalamu kibadde lino baati ki?
Baati eri balizimba buzimbi. Tulina batabani baffe wano bagazimba ne bagazimba gatuyita aga fiber.
So si baati, it's fiber.
Olikola naye nga ekolwa mu fiber naye nga oluwulira ng'ebbaati naye nga liba lizitowa.
Ensonga lwaki wamma teyongerako.
Naye era tekiyina yo bagikola nga yeyo okuganga omuntu agikanisa oba agitereeza gwe tokoze eki yo kyesinga okwagala n'okuguma kwayo kasoji wa saavisi yaayo mu budde bwayo mu bulungi bwayo naye nga teyina.
Kale muzeeyi neyanziza nnyo.
Kale
so that was an adventure. Okay, some people will say they don't like the modification. Some of the parts actually don't look that nice, but that's modification done in Uganda. The bumpers are no longer plastic, they are fiber. Okay, it sounds like it's actually steel, but it's fiber. So that's the Corolla. That's the older version of my Corolla. I'm going to do a review of my own Corolla so that you know. But everything that is in my Corolla is a modification of that Corolla. Okay, and everything that is in the 2001 Fielder is almost there. It's just that the other one is an estate and this one is a saloon. Yeah, so Ugandans actually do modifications there. So you guys, I think I don't have to do a review of the Toyota Chikumi, the older version. We have already done it there. It has 1.5cc engine, like he has said. It literally never breaks down. And according to him, if you buy it 5 million, you will sell it 5 million. I found that to be true because the people that buy cars like that actually want them. So they will buy it at that price. But although there are certain cars that have standard price, where however new the car is, it will never go past that price. And that Corolla Chikumi is one of them. But also even the Primo has a standard price where it will not go beyond no matter how good it is. Even this Harrier Kawundo here, it also has a price where don't buy the Honda until I tell you why. Don't buy the Honda yet if you were planning to buy a Honda. You know the CRV Honda we just saw? Yeah. You don't buy until I've told you why. And if after I tell you why you should not buy the Honda CRV, you still want to buy it, you can go ahead and buy it. It's your car. And buy and enjoy. Yeah. Nicholas Kaziwe, you're welcome. Yeah. Mercedes-Benz suitable for upcountry road. Yes. They are very, you see, the problem with Mercedes-Benz, I think I should talk about it. You see the cranks, that tin like thing that is under the engine where the oil goes. Okay, that's one of their biggest problems. Like if you hit it, it breaks very quickly. So and I've had so many Mac owners have had that problem. If they go through roads that are not very comfortable, they'll get a problem of that thing breaking down. And when it breaks down, you literally just have to call the mechanic because you can't drive the engine and the oil has gone out. Yeah, so if you buy a low Mercedes-Benz, you have to be very careful as you drive it. But the drivers of Mercedes-Benz know how to drive their cars. So they don't hit humps directly when they go to places where there are a lot of stones. That's why they drive very slow. Okay, of course sometimes they drive very slow because gearboxes are also blown. So he doesn't choose to drive slow, but it's because the car is actually in a lower gear. Yeah, I was just thinking of putting seatbelt on, then I saw traffic officers. Yeah, I have my God, and he tells me. So I think I'll upload either the progress video tomorrow or the Toyota Noah video. One of them will be uploaded tomorrow, and then the other will be uploaded the day after that. Yeah, I have to go for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed our brief session. Yeah, but I'm going to keep it live still. I'll put some music. I'll leave the video going for those that like to watch cars moving, and I'll put some music so that you can enjoy. But until tomorrow, guys, ciao ciao, bye.
Never